What is it that you are doing to protect yourself from a potential economic crisis? How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy talking about precious metals, so make sure you blast that subscribe button, get the bell notification clicked. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I'm going to be discussing with a very special guest what is it that you should be doing in order to prepare for an economic crisis. Now, a lot of people in the stacking community, we are in this community because we believe in holding physical metals, silver and gold, just to name a couple. We believe that the dollar continues to weaken, and the way to really kind of hedge against inflation and to really kind of store our wealth in a secure, strong way is through precious metals. Now, some people within the stacking community think that there was or is going to be an economic crash, right? We had the Great Recession in 2008, and we are kind of seeing this massive bubble in which it seems like at any given moment something is bound to give. So, what is it that you are doing to protect yourself in case there is some sort of economic crisis, right? There's only so much that we can keep doing as a country, as a global community by printing money, right? There's only going to be so much of that we can do before everything kind of comes down like a house of cards. I'm going to get into a discussion with a very special guest, and I want you to hear what he has to say about it. And then after that segment, we're going to hop right back here to talk a little bit further. Today, I am here with Ralph Shearing, President and CEO of Altalay Mining. Ralph, how are you?
Very well. Thank you, Stormy. It's good to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into some of the questions, I have to ask you, behind you there, is that some of the landscape of your mining operation? What do you got there?
That's our Tawaweto Gold Project, the one we're building right now. So that's a fantastic project. I'll tell you a bit about it in the interview, I think.
That looks awesome. Have you been down there? I imagine you...
Many times.
Yeah. So I actually do have some questions for you about, the economy, because, this is something that I always talk about with a lot of the different people that I'm interviewing on the channel, because, you guys are the seasoned pros and you have a really good, grasp of what's going on. In 2020 and 2021, the quantity of the currency creation schemes conducted by governments, central banks, I mean, it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 20% of all the currency ever created, which is just mind-boggling. What are the ramifications of this, in your opinion?
Well, that's an outstanding figure, isn't it? I mean, there's just so much money being thrown into the system. It's devaluing the dollar, people's savings, people's investments, all of their net worth is being devalued because of this dollar situation. So this is why I'm so into our gold company, our gold project. I think gold is it maintains its value. It's always maintained its value throughout history. So it's a good place to be, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, obviously, as you see on my screen here, I love precious metals, in particular gold. I started out stacking silver, and the last couple of years I really kind of just focused primarily on gold, and I tell a lot of my subscribers to kind of do the same. In your experience, is what you're seeing with SPACs, IPOs, NFTs and meme stocks and other crazy and volatile assets a sign that something has gone seriously wrong?
Well, this is an interesting topic, and I'm no expert. I'm going to tell you right away, but I can tell you from my point of view, these SPACs, these special purpose acquisition companies, there are lots of money sitting in their tails waiting to be deployed somewhere, and that money is just sitting on the sidelines waiting to get into the next boom of a market. And I'm hoping obviously that's going to be the gold market as the time goes on here. Mm-hmm. The blockchain situations, I mean, these are really interesting assets, tokens, if you want to call them, and they're all geared towards the internet functioning and governments not interfering. I have a hard time believing that governments aren't going to step into this crypto situation and put more controls on it that's going to negatively affect that market. It's just there's just too much room for criminal activity in these tokens, things like that.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that the government at some point in the future, maybe near future, is going to start stepping in and restricting these things in a large way.
I couldn't
So
agree with you more.
it's a very volatile market, very risky in my opinion. But there's a lot of people following it, and that certainly affects our mining market, our gold situation as well, because a lot of money that's gone into that has been taken away from the gold sector. So it could come back in an explosive way.
Now, let me ask you something a little bit more personal. Um, are you preparing for a slowdown or a crash?
We're a company that's just really starting to grow. We've been doing very, very well. We're fairly confident the metal prices will maintain themselves over the next year or two, and that's going to really, really help us out. So, I would say we are gearing up, not slowing down, and that's just because of the way the metals market is and our recent success in the company.
Now, we're going to start talking a bit about Altalay Mining because there's a lot going on with the company. I mean, there's a tremendous opportunity here. And I'm just kind of curious because I know that you are a big proponent of gold. And are you a stacker in your own life, personally? Do you buy and hold physical metals? I'm just kind of curious.
A little bit of gold, but my investment in the gold industry is in this company. I put 20 some odd years of my life into this company to get it to the point where it is and build this gold mine. So you could say that everything I have is in the gold
Yeah.
market.
Yeah. You just got to pull it out of the ground.
Yeah, well, exactly. I put a lot of time and effort into getting this company to where it is, and obviously a lot of help along the way to get here. So certainly, I'm very heavily invested in metals and particularly precious metals.
So, you just mentioned that you've been in this business now for 20 years. Would you mind explaining to the viewers, how you became involved in the natural resource industry and what roles that you took on over the course of your career?
Yeah, well, I'm a professional geologist, an exploration geologist, and I got into the public company game back in the early or late 80s, I guess, early 90s. We actually listed this company back in 1987, about 3 months before a huge October market crash. So we learned very quickly as very young,
Yeah.
naive guys getting into the public company game. And I've been in the managing the senior level management of public companies ever since that time. So it's over 30 some odd years in public company management experience and over 35 years in mineral exploration and development. And so that's really helped me guide along the company. I've been involved in drilling companies, partners in drilling companies, had been involved in several world-class projects, and started this company back, as I said, 1987. We found our main project, this Tabahueto project behind me in 1997, and I've been nursing it along ever since. And it's interesting, in the public company game as a junior miner, you can only move your project forward when you have access to capital.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 20 some odd years that we've had this project, we've really only been able to advance it probably 7 or 8 of those years when we had access to capital, because the rest of the years were difficult times in the industry and capital wasn't available to us.
Sure. So what's so exciting about Altalay Mining that you decided to become part of that business? And are you a major shareholder of the company?
I'm a significant shareholder. We have a lot of very large shareholders in the company who have been with us a while. What's so exciting about the company is we've got one mine that's in production. We bought a mine from a company called Nearstar. It's a zinc mine in Mexico, close to Mexico City. And the other mine is this Tabahueto mine, and we're building that. And so we're right on the cusp. Right now, we're a base metal producer with some precious metals
Mm-hmm.
production, but we're going to soon be primarily a precious metal producer when this Tabahueto project comes on stream. We're building it now, and we hope to have it up and running near the end of this year, and then ramp it up to full capacity early next year. And then our fortunes change really, really quickly because we're expecting the $20 to $30 million free cash flow out of this project once we get our debt paid back. and that doesn't include the profits we're making on the other zinc mine that we're
Mm.
operating. So we're in a really good space. The metals have performed very well for the industry. Gold is always a store of value, and we believe that the gold market has got a lot more room to go up than it does go down. So we're going to be a low cost gold producer, and we're in a really good situation, good space for the company.
Awesome. There've been a lot of companies that I've had discussions with, and I'm curious what makes Altalay so unique compared to a lot of the other junior mining companies that are out there.
Well, I think that one of the main things is we really haven't realized the value that we can see in the company right now. We're trading at about 2.7 enterprise value over EBITDA, and that's much lower than the rest of our peer companies. So we've got a lot of room to grow very quickly, and I think that will really start to come to fruition once the project behind me, Tahoe Huehueto, comes into production and we get the re-rating as a precious metal producer. We're right now rated as a base metal producer. So that alone is going to propel the value
Mm-hmm.
of the company upwards. And once we have both of our projects have really good expansion possibilities as well. The exploration potential in both the projects is excellent. I think that Tahoe Huehueto, we're going to start at around 1,000 tons per day, and I think over 2 to 3 years we can grow this to 2 to 3,000 tons per day. Now that's going to
It's a
require
lot.
exploration success, but it's
Yeah.
going to come very easily. It's a very well mineralized project, and there's lots of areas to explore and develop and bring new resources and reserves into the company. And a similar situation on our base metal project. It's actually it's interesting. What's worth noting on our base metal project too is that we're conducting a full court press on metallurgy right now, and we expect to be able to start recovering a lot more precious metals. That project, it's called Campo Morado. It's challenged on precious metal recovery. So right now we're getting about 15 to 25% gold recoveries.
Okay.
We've increased it recently up to 25. And then for silver, we're getting about 40 to 50% recoveries. But there was some testing conducted on this project back in the previous owners that showed that we can really increase those precious metal recoveries that went through first phase testing with a leach ox process as well as an Albion process. And it's a forced oxidation and leaching of the gold out. And it showed that we could get up to 400% recovery, increased recoveries in gold, and over 200% increased recoveries from silver. So that's up to like 60% recoveries gold and 80% recoveries in silver. So we're taking that testing through second phase, and if it works, then we have the opportunity to move Campo Morado from a base metal mine into a precious metal mine, primarily silver. So that work is underway. We expect it to be completed towards the end of this year, and then we should have a pathway. If it works well, we should have a pathway to increase the revenues out of that project substantially. So
So
those are. Go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
I was going to ask you. So what would you say is the one thing that you are most excited about right now with the current projects that you have underway?
Well, I'm super excited about our Tahoe Huehueto project
Yeah.
and finishing the construction on that mine and getting it into production. And then it's really it has been our flagship project. It was an exploration project. Now it's in development construction. Once it's in production, then we're really going to make an impact on the market. This is a fantastic project and low cost producer. We should be producing gold at about $810 per gold equivalent ounce on an all-in sustaining cost basis. So that's a lot of profit in a ton of gold for us,
That
or
is
a ton
very
of rock for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see what comes out of that project. Keeping my fingers crossed for you that once it gets wrapped up and you start pulling lots of gold out of the ground. I'm just really excited for you. And I have information about the company down below in the description. The ticker symbol for your company is ATLYF, And I highly recommend that, you know, people watching this video and this discussion, that they definitely check out your website and look at all the investor relations information. Ralph, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add? Or are you all good?
I would just invite listeners to really dig into our company, have a good look at it. I think you'll be impressed of what we've been able to do over the last little while and where we are going with this company. We're going to put it on the map very quickly when Tabaweto gets into production, and the next few years are going to be very, very good growth for us. So I think if you can be convinced to become a shareholder, you're going to be very well rewarded out of our efforts coming over the next year or two.
Ralph Scheuring, President and CEO of Altalay Mining, I really appreciate your time today. And again, I'm looking forward to speaking with you in the future and hearing all about the tremendous success.
Great, Stormy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to tell our story.
So that was really great of Ralph joining us. I appreciated his time and his outlook with everything when it comes to precious metals. And, it definitely shows a lot with a lot of these different companies that I interview, that these individuals just really, really believe in the value of gold and silver, much like us, so much so that they are devoting their entire, life savings, and they're getting their friends, family, associates, different contacts throughout the industry to invest in the company because they see tremendous value in precious metals. So for me personally, I do own some mining stocks because there is tremendous upside for a lot of these companies. I strongly recommend that you definitely do your due diligence, check out the different companies yourself, and decide for yourself whether or not you are going to buy into some of these companies featured on the channel. And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.